That's why it's rightly said, if you want to change the system, be in the system.
I think it is a matter of keeping perspective because no one told me I had to do this. I chose to do this.
Out of 343 members of parliament, 104 is women MP. So almost 30% powerful woman is right now holding the seats in the parliament, which is quite amazing. Young couple, young student, they are still wondering when they will going to get their PR, when they will going to get their first home.
Immigration is very important to our country.
We have seen like many anti-immigration rallies, agitation going on. How government observing this issue?
Crisis really in our country. Employment is down. Unfortunately, immigrants are easy targets for that.
Car theft is so common. When you are in GTA, out of 10, at least 6 people are talking about car thefts.
The new bail reform legislation that we're going to be bringing in a couple weeks from the Minister of Justice also addresses additional provisions geared at car thefts and organized crime.
Gun culture right now, which is prevailing in United States, never should come in Canada. Politicians are always doing the arguments in the parliament. They are not addressing the real issues, going for the solutions. What's your take on that?
Most people, when they tune into question period at the House of Commons, it's entertaining. But other people say, is this how my tax money is being spent? Really? Like it's a kindergarten classroom sometimes. The purpose of question period is for the opposition party or the opposition to hold the government to account and ask us questions about how we're spending money. We got word that they had counted the final poll and I had lost by 298 votes. And I was devastated.
See, I know politics is not easy. Who is more powerful, Kristina? Politician or businessman in Canada?
Oh.
Before we continue, I want to thank our sponsor, Manisha Savnani, mortgage specialist at Royal Bank of Canada, RBC. It is inspiring to see women like her leading the way in finance and guiding families with the right mortgage decisions. Her contact details are in the description. Contact her for more details. Hello everyone. I want to start this episode by wishing you all a very happy Diwali. On this beautiful festival of lights, I pray for peace, happiness, and prosperity in your homes. In Indian culture, having a woman in the home on Diwali is considered a true blessing. And today, we are blessed on this show as well. For the very first time on my podcast, we have our first woman guest, a politician from the ruling Liberal Party, a mother of 4, and a leader who is making history by becoming the Member of Parliament from the new riding in Halton area, Milton East. Her journey is truly inspiring. She started with a law degree, served her community for many years, and today she represents Canadians in Parliament as a Liberal Party MP. Balancing family life and the tough world of politics is never easy, but she has done it with strength and passion. In Ottawa, she works on the big issues that matter to all Canadians, like immigration, international students, jobs, safety, trade, and how government money is spent. It's my honor to welcome her on this Diwali special episode of Real Talks with Sunny, Kristina Tesser Derksen. Welcome to my show, Kristina. First of all, happy Diwali and a prosperous new year to you. How are you today?
I'm very well, and thank you so much for those kind wishes. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. May I ask you, first of all, is this your first podcast?
It is not my first podcast. I think it might be my second or third, so I'm still fairly new at the podcast scene.
Okay, so I can say that like you are seasoned politician but new to the podcast world.
Yeah, and I would be careful with the seasoned politician part too. I have a lot to learn still.
Thank you so much, Kristina. So let's start with your personal journey. Mm-hmm. So I know like you have first of all started your undergrad career in Bachelor of History as well as Science, in Political Science though. Then after you moved to the law degree and then finally you decided to move to the politics. So if you can just give me the glimpse about this journey, like what made you to enter into the politics directly from history to the politics from H to P? How it happened?
It's a great question. I've always been interested in politics. You know, as a child, you don't really understand what politics means, but I was always interested in how people organize themselves in societies and how they make rules for themselves to follow. And that's really politics, right? So as a child, I was also very, very interested in history. And that's because of my dad. He's a big history buff. So I actually started my career in, to answer your question about how those steps were taken, I would say that, first of all, my first career being in funeral service is a helping profession. That's a profession where you're helping people at times where they need assistance, you know, right? You are in service always to your community, to your constituents, your country, your community, and helping people navigate complicated processes, helping people solve problems that they're facing, and helping society at large answer those big questions about how we organize ourselves, how we make rules so that we can all live in peace and prosperity together. So they really are different types of professions within the same sphere of just helping people.
I understand. This is very interesting because I ask, like this question to Anita Anand as well. Like I make one research and I found out like majority of the member of parliament, like in the history of Canada. So either they are educationist or they are from the law background. So I want to ask, like, how law is actually helpful for any politician to enter into the world of politics, or if someone wants to become a successful politician, how law degree actually helps you?
That's a great question. A law degree, when people come to me and say, I'm thinking of going to law school, and I say, that's great because a law degree is very versatile. Practically speaking, you can do a lot with a law degree, right? And many people who get law degrees don't actually end up practicing law. They'll go into other professions, but law school teaches you how to think logically. And that's really important in politics. So when people think of politics, I think they think more of the front-facing aspect where you're out in the community and you're doing podcasts and you're doing your social media and all of that stuff. But really, one of the core jobs of a politician, particularly at the federal level, is to create legislation, to create law. Right?
Yes.
Those rules, again,
Yes.
that we govern ourselves by.
Yes.
So for someone to have a legal background where we have studied law and then practicing as a lawyer, we always turn back to the legislation. That's what gives us our authority to do what we're trying to do. And we interpret that and apply it to our cases. So now as a politician, I'm in the House of Commons making those laws that at one point in the past I was using to do my work. So it really is kind of a full circle type of career momentum. And I think that's why you see many people with legal backgrounds going into politics, because such a big part of it is about legislation. And that's an expertise area of a lawyer.
That's why it's rightly said, if you want to change the system, be in the system. Well, see, I know politics is not easy. You are also a mother. So, and for a woman, it's I know very tough because both are very demanding jobs. So I want to understand, like all viewers want to understand honestly, how you balance your personal life with the professional life of member of parliament.
Yes, I get that question a lot. And you're quite right. Politics definitely has elements of pressure that maybe some other careers don't have. I think it's the scrutiny that we are under as politicians. We're very public facing, and certain things that people would never dream of doing or saying to their doctor or their lawyer or their real estate agent, they feel perfectly fine saying to a politician, right? Things that might not be so kind. And that's just part of the territory. It shouldn't be, to be perfectly honest. And I'm thinking now of the mayor in Burlington, Mayor Marianne Mead Ward, who began the Elect Respect campaign with Pam Demoff, who was an MP in Burlington as well. And Elect Respect is about making a pledge to be respectful within politics and to be mindful that if we are mean to politicians, there'll be a lot of people who don't put their name forward to run in politics because they don't want to attract that kind of negativity. And so there might be very good people who we never get to elect as politicians because they choose not to get involved in that. So I want to make part of my work to spread that message and make sure that we are always mindful and kind. And certainly we can be critical and hold politicians to account, and we should. but there's a way to do it with kindness. So I mentioned that, just being a woman and a politician in general. As far as being a mother, I have 4 children. My children are a little bit older now. My youngest is 20 years old, so they are less labor intensive. So they don't miss me as much as they would have when they were little. But they were little when I went to law school, so I do remember, balancing that. I have a very supportive spouse who's been be impossible to do without his help and his support, and extended family. My parents are still in the town where I live. I have my mother-in-law, siblings. So it really is an effort. When I talk about where I've gotten to, it was an effort of an entire family, an extended family and community, friends and neighbors as well, and colleagues who helped me along the way. So I think the skills that someone needs when they want to maintain a balance at home and serve their community through work is you just have to manage your time very wisely. You have to be willing to ask for help when you need it. And you need to support yourself by having people around you.
See, I got a voice message from your mother that you were a gifted child.
Oh.
I truly understand now. Because
Thank you.
you are so humble, so nice and so kind that after such a long hectic day, you are managed to keep the same smile on your face. Kristina, please decode me that hack. How anyone during this entire day, like doing this, that, and plus of course you are in politics, so much issues going around in economy, and still you are managing this beautiful face. Like every time, hey Saurin, hey everybody, you keep smiling. Tell me this hack, because people seriously right now need this laughing therapy.
Yeah, I think it is a matter of keeping perspective, because no one told me I had to do this. I chose to do this. I was very fortunate enough to be chosen by my community to represent them. It is a tremendous privilege. And it could be for a very, very short time, for all I know. You can't take anything for granted. So that shine will never wear off for me, I don't think, as long as I am chosen to represent people. They have given me a very important task, which I asked them to give me. So there's a job I need to do, and it's something that I cherish. I think it'll be one of the honors of my life, and so I can't forget my responsibilities to them as well. So at any time when I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or I feel like I'm not doing a good job, I remember this is a privilege. Many people would give a lot to do what I'm doing, and many people don't get this opportunity. And kindness is always easy to do. I think even when you're feeling under pressure, you can still be kind to people, because people don't know the pressures you deal with, and it's not their fault. So I'm always mindful of not, kind of reflecting pressure that I feel on other people, because it's not their burden to carry. But yeah, it's about perspective. It really is.
Be the same, Kristina.
Thank you. I will try.
So I'm wondering, do the MPs have the weekends or?
Yes. So the way our schedule is arranged is that we are in Ottawa for the week, usually. Oftentimes we can come back on the Friday if we're not needed in Ottawa. So then we can begin doing our work in our riding Friday afternoon, evening. And then the weekend we're here running around meeting constituents and doing all that. That's the fun part of the job, right? Yes. Doing the events and seeing the constituents, having all those important meetings that are really, that's where we get the feedback from the people we're representing. And support them in the events and the good work they're trying to do in the community as well. And then we go back to Ottawa and do the work of legislation and meetings in Ottawa as well with different groups. Yeah.
So if I may ask you, how many working days usually the member of parliament have in parliament?
Yeah. So for the month it's going to be 3 weeks usually. And we have 1 week back in the riding, and that would be each month. And then there is a break around the holidays in December that we're back in the riding. And again, that's important because there's usually so much going on in the constituency for holiday events and New Year's and that sort of thing. And then there's a break usually in March. Now I'm new, so I haven't been through a full year yet. And then we were back in our ridings for the summertime as well. Again, because there's a lot of connecting we have to do with our constituents, the people who need to see us on a regular basis.
So do MPs have that any progress report or absent report? Like Mark Carney will ask, hey, where were you? I haven't seen you in a while.
I think the Prime Minister has other very important things to worry about, but you're right. We have each party has what we call a whip. Yeah. And so our government whip is responsible, or one of his duties is to make sure that we know where we're supposed to be. And if we're not there, his office will reach out and say, where are you? You know? So, I mean, there's a lot of us and we all are very, very busy people. And some of my colleagues are in British Columbia. They're very far from Ottawa. So managing those travels is something that I imagine would be very, very challenging. I'm a close flight. I'm an hour away from Ottawa, or a 5-hour drive, which isn't too bad. But yeah, so there are people who are tasked with making sure that we are where we're supposed to be.
You know why I'm asking this question? Because Mark Carney is such a sweet person. He's very calm head on his shoulder. So I'm always wondering, like, when Mark Carney is, asking about the performance of any MP, like, he's such a nice man, like how he's asking. So I want to get little insight about Mark Carney. Like, we know only one side of him. Like, he's brilliant, I know. Okay. But apart from that, like, can you share any insight, like, which people don't know about him?
I think what people see is what they get with the Prime Minister. You're correct. I've met him several times. He came to the riding several times during the election campaign. He's very warm. He's very humble. He is very approachable, very smart, like a very, very brilliant man. And he expects results for 41 million Canadians. He has a big task list that he's trying to work through, and rightfully so, because that's what Canadians elected him for. So I have had a great time working under his leadership. I'm pleased with his leadership. After the first time I met him, I was so happy and reaffirmed in my decision to run, because I thought, okay, he is what I expected him to be and even better. So he's been wonderful. And how is he managing this with such grace? It's really remarkable, and it's a great example for someone like me to watch. And you're right, the level-headedness, the cool heads have to prevail, right? And I think we're all really blessed to have someone that gifted to be leading our country at a time where we need someone who's very focused and able to bring unity and calm to a very sometimes chaotic situation that's not our fault.
Rightly said. And he's very smart, because I met him only once in actually last year. It was a Diwali party in Ottawa. So he was like, young man, what's your height? So I said, sir, it's 6'3". Okay, what you are doing? I'm like, sir, I'm real estate agent, right field. That's it. I'm like, thank you, sir. I'm like, okay. I'm like, headmaster is just taking my class. But that 3 lines, it was amazing. It's again my wish. He will be here in my podcast. I keep my finger crossed. Okay.
He's in high demand.
Oh yeah. Okay, so another research, like right now, out of 343 members of parliament, 104 is women MP. So almost 30%. So I can see that powerful woman is right now holding the seats in the parliament, which is quite amazing. So my question to you, Kristina, there are so many young women right now watching this podcast. If they want to step into the political career, what's your advice and your take or your insight to them?
Yes, a wonderful question. And thank you, because we want more women in politics. I'm proud to say that we have the largest women's caucus right now in the Liberal Party, in the government, that we've ever had. So there's those women that you mentioned that are holding seats are mostly Liberal women. Okay.
Classic.
So important to note. I think it's really important. My message to women, and I've spoken to many women who've approached me and said, I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of scared. I'm not sure. Men too, but more so women. I always give the advice that, you have to take a honest look at what you can commit beyond your existing responsibilities. That's important for anyone. And I also tell women to be very mindful of imposter syndrome. Because this is something I will admit I still get from time to time, where you feel like, what am I doing here? This is way over my head. I don't belong here. Who do I think I am? Right? And those kind of nagging negative questions get in your ear, and they can really interfere with your self-esteem and with your ability to do your work. So it's important to keep that in check and realize that in my circumstance, if a community or a riding has said, no, we want you to please go and represent us, I've been chosen and I've been tasked. People get into politics thinking it's just a prestigious thing to do, or it will elevate their profile and they'll just, coast through the term. the point of this is to do the work, to make the change that the community asks you to make, to work with your colleagues, making life easier for people, right? And that's really, I would hope all politicians have that same goal. So my advice to women is, we are excellent multitaskers, and I think women are well placed to bring those skills into the arena. And I encourage them always to at least explore, and then seek out mentors, talk to women who are already there. I did, and then go for it.
So if you can still elaborate me a little more, say for example, any person wants to, be in the election, say for example, in any seat in across the Canada, right? So which will be the starting point? Say for example, if I want to be the doctor, I know like I need to take the admission in medicine, okay, do this and that. So they need to start with, first of all, being a nominee in particular party, or they need to do the work for the particular party. What they exactly need to do to become either MPP or MP or even city councillor?
Yeah, there's many different paths to being elected, right?
Okay, so let's take one path, member of parliament.
Yeah, so if you want to be member of parliament, well, I'll tell you how I did it.
Yeah, okay, please.
So I started in municipal council. So I worked as a lawyer. I said to my husband, I said, when the youngest child is a teenager, I think I will see about putting my name forward to get involved with politics in elected office. And then just happened to be that year, my youngest son turned 13 in July, and there was a municipal election in October. I talked to my counselor, my municipal counselor, and I said, what's involved? I want to size up if I'm the right person to do this work. And would I bring good to the community? And his advice was, yes, you should go for it. And so I put my name forward, I registered, and there's a process for that. You get some signatures and you register. And then lo and behold, I was in an election campaign. Now at the municipal level, there's no parties, right? So you don't have to worry about nominations and all that sort of thing. And then I was elected, and I learned about the kind of the conventions of politics, who does what and how to deal with issues and knock on doors when you're campaigning. And it was a real great learning experience. And I did that for 2 terms. And because I was in municipal politics, my name was kind of circulating. People knew who I was, colleagues knew who I was. And then my name was mentioned to the Ontario Liberal Party as a potential candidate in a provincial election that might be coming up. And that was the provincial election that Doug Ford called in January of this year, 2025. So at that point, I had gone back and forth a little bit because I was afraid to step into party politics. I thought, who am I to run in a provincial election? So that imposter syndrome kind of poked its head out, and I had a lot of support from people. And another piece of advice I'll add to what the previous question was, sometimes you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And I was not successful in that election, but we did really good work in the community. I met wonderful volunteers, and I went back to work. And then 2 weeks later, I was approached to run in the federal election. So you can see how the steps, it's like a ladder, how they progress that way. And sometimes it's just the universe, making a call and you answer. And
that brings my next question.
Okay.
So I know you believe in universe energy, manifestation as well. So I did my research. So your mother told me, like, when you were probably in your primary school, so you manifest you want to be the director of funeral homes. And then you become the director of funeral homes. Can you do one manifest for me as well?
I will do my best. I will put the energy out there and manifest. Well, this is a very simple,
Yes.
I mean, people talk about it like it's some mysterious force. It's just the power of your own mind.
That's correct.
If you just say, this is what I'm going to do, here's my plan. Yeah. And then you just start doing it. I mean, you will travel in the direction you're looking, yes. Right? And then things will come your way. I mean, and yes, there can be obstacles or, side tracks, and you deal with those. And there may be times where you have to realize you were pursuing something that maybe was not right for you, and you have to know yes. when it's time to change course. Yes. But again, that just comes with honesty to oneself, self-reflection, yes. and that perspective that's so important.
Classic. Now, guys, always remember one thing. Talent is God-given. Respect it. Fame is man-given. Be thankful. Concentration is self-driven. Be very, very, very careful. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. Keep trying. Keep hustling. Because motivation is temporary and discipline is permanent. These are the lines which is perfectly fit the guest of my show today, Kristina. You know why? Her election as an MP was a roller coaster. Kristina, you're the best person to answer me this question. I know so many people throw this question to you, but I'm just understanding if I will going to feel your shoes right now. So on the day of election, the counting day, the result were out and it says that like, hey, Kristina, sorry, we lose the election, but the margin was 29 votes. So that night, again, Kristina was like, oh my God, what happened? But still, you hold your nose. Next day, it's recounting. Then after, you figure it out after some days, like, okay, you won the election. Please tell me, this roller coaster in your life, like, what was your mindset? What you were doing? What were your emotion? What about your family? Tell me exactly what you went through.
Okay, you asked. I will be honest. So actually on election night, I was just saying to a friend of mine recently, on election night, my campaign manager said to me, Kristina, this is the closest election in the entire country right now in this riding. We were so back and forth. So around 12:30 midnight, my manager said, it's too close to call. Elections Canada has one more poll to count. It's special ballots that were mailed in from overseas and things, and they're not counting them tonight. They've told us they're closing up and they will come back tomorrow morning and recount. So at that point, we didn't know who had won the election. Okay, I think my opponent was a little bit ahead, but there was enough votes in this one poll that had to be counted that could have changed the results. So I will be honest, I felt nauseous. I was very unsettled because I really wanted this. It felt very, very right. And I knew I could do good work. And I was really, I was upset that I didn't have a definitive answer that night. But again, it was out of my control.
Yeah.
So we went home and I had a rather unsettled night and a little bit sleepless, tossing and turning. And then the next day, mid-afternoon, we got word that they had counted the final poll and I had lost by 298 votes.
Wow.
Okay. And I was devastated. I will admit, I like to pride myself on just being accepting and moving on with what I can control, but this was upsetting. Yes. It was. So, I was recovering a little bit. And I think part of the reason I was so upset was because it was so close. Yes. Like 298 votes. That's just another day or two of knocking doors, right? Yes. But anyhow, people were sending messages of their best wishes and thanking me for putting forward a good race. And my volunteers were wonderful. They were still messaging me and talking about how happy they were to have met me and worked with me. And they were talking about plans for the next election. They were already looking to the future. So I took inspiration from them and thought, yes, there's always more to come. So it took that was Tuesday. It took a few days for me to kind of just get back into my rhythm, back to work. And then on Friday, I got a call from the returning officer who's in charge of the riding. And she said, oh, Kristina, I just want to let you know we've completed the validation process, which is normal. You do that in every riding. And we noticed an error, typo in the tabulation, and it's changed the result. And you are actually ahead by 29 votes.
Wow.
Yes. Wow is right. So it took me a second to register what she had said. And then she said, do you want to write down the numbers? I said, oh yes, sure. And I grabbed a pen and I wrote it down. And then I hung up the phone with her, or she told me that it triggered an automatic recount. Okay. So whenever the spread of votes is within 1/1000th of the total votes cast, there's an automatic recount. It's legislated at law. So she said, there's an automatic recount. Yeah, a little bit of emotional roller coaster. I went from feeling quite optimistic on election night because we'd run such a great campaign to being uncertain about what was going on, then being completely devastated, and then having this flash of hope and change of fortune, and then worry about how the next few weeks was going, and confusion about how the process would work. So there was a lot going on. But it it was memorable. I'll use that word to describe it. It was 3 weeks it took for the recount because a judge has to be selected. You have to find space. All the scrutineers, the parties have lawyers. And that took a couple days to count all the votes again. And at the end of it, I had won by 21 votes.
So 21 is finally your lucky number.
Yes, that's my lucky number.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Let's move to the next issue, which is a burning issue right now in Canada. So immigration is one of the hottest topic or the issue. What's your point of view, Kristina? How can the government still make the better system concerned with the immigration, whether it is the permanent resident program or skilled program or the students who are coming from outside Canada wants to settle here? What's your point of view on that?
Yeah, I'm the child of an immigrant. My father came here as a child refugee from the Second World War. So if it weren't for immigration policies that were generous in Canada, I would not be here, right? So I keep this in mind when I'm thinking about immigration. Immigration is very important to our country. Immigrants have done so much to contributing to the construction of this nation, to the workforce, to the economy, to the culture, right? And I think Canada prides itself on open immigration, welcoming people who will come here and contribute to our society and help us continue to build it and make it wonderful and great. Now, because of economic pressures and other things, there is an opinion that we have to be very mindful that if we bring people here, we have to be able to support them and give them housing and jobs and school. And I think what happened was we got a little ahead of ourselves and we just invited too many people with a house that wasn't quite in perfect order. So the way the immigration policies have been reviewed is that we still need to continue to build immigration in our country and make sure that we're bringing the people who will contribute to making our communities wonderful, like yourself. But we have to make sure that we can provide what they need. We can't just bring people here and leave them to fend for themselves, right? They need to have housing and jobs, right? And we know employment right now is challenging because of the economic pressures we're feeling from the trade war with the United States. So my view on immigration is that it will continue to be an important facet of the Canadian fabric. Mm-hmm. We have to be reactive to realities on the ground. We have to be mindful that we can't expect people to come here and then just leave them to fend for themselves. So we have to make sure we have those supports and policies in place. There are people already here that need to be taken care of as well, who are facing tough times. So it's something we have to be very mindful and reactive to, and proactive as well. I mean, we have to be able to somewhat project what our needs will be and how bringing people here will affect the economy that we're right now working really hard to keep firing. So it's an important issue. It's one I heard a lot about when I was knocking doors, along with a few others that you'll probably ask about. And it's important that we continue having discussions with immigrant communities so that we know what their needs are as well. And it's got to be a dialogue between everybody to make sure we do it right.
You know why I'm asking this question? Because many of my viewers, like young couple, young student, those who are watching this podcast, they are still wondering when they will going to get their PR, when they will going to get their first home. What do you think? How government should address this issue?
Yeah, and immigration is a very complex department, right?
Yes.
And it requires a lot of resources, a lot of agents looking over applications. You've heard complaints from people saying, "Oh my gosh, it's taking years and years and years." So Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, is a separate organization. It's arm's length from the government. So the government, elected officials, cannot influence how IRCC makes its decisions or runs its processes. I get lots of people calling my office and emailing saying, "I don't know what's going on. Can you please find out?" So we certainly will reach out to our IRCC and say, "What's the status of this application? Can you give us any information about what the holdup is or what the issues are?" And oftentimes the agents will give us as much information as they can, but they can't necessarily disclose everything because there might be security reviews undergoing that cannot be disclosed. And there's privacy issues as well that they have to be mindful of. So as far as what the government can do, it's a matter of the government making sure the department is functioning properly while keeping an arm's length. We can't influence their decisions. And for a member of parliament, someone like me who is representing constituents with concerns, being responsive and doing our best to make sure IRCC understands the concerns that our constituents have about delays and about processing and about the sharing of information.
Okay. Thanks for that. But still one more thing, see, ultimately, Kristina, Canada is actually built by the immigrants. There is no doubt about it, actually. But since last couple of years, we have seen many anti-immigration rallies, anti-immigration agitation going on in Toronto, in Ontario, rather than across Canada. How government is observing this issue? And is there any plan of government, or is there any particular strategy which government is right now they are dealing with this particular issue or try to combat with them?
Yes, definitely. And you mentioned, immigrants building this country. My grandfather, so my dad's father who came here, was a construction worker and mason. So there are homes in my town that he built. So you're quite right. It's really important to remember that. And these aren't just numbers. I've said this in the House of Commons. These aren't just numbers. These are people. These are stories. These are lives. And we have to always keep a compassionate lens when we're talking about immigration. Immigrants are to blame for so much and they're not, right? It's unfair. So some of that has seeped up here. So it's important for us to make sure that we're messaging and saying, remember what immigrants have done and what they continue to do for us. And that's important. So as far as what the government's doing to combat things like anti-immigration protests and things like that, there was some legislation tabled around hate crimes, for example, or using symbols to promote hate willfully against an identifiable group, that those are going to be captured under legislation and will be criminal charges would be able to be laid there. So it's a way for the law to be used to try to prevent, deter, and hold to account people who are spreading this type of messaging, which is hateful. Mm-hmm. So that's just one example. Mm-hmm. I think also what happens is when you face economic uncertainty, there's times of economic crisis really in our country. Employment is down. People will look for someone to blame. And unfortunately, immigrants are easy targets for that. And that's something else that we have to be very mindful of, that it's easy to point to an immigrant and say, you're the reason I don't have a job. But it's much, much more complex than that. And it's difficult to put that into a headline or a slogan. Yeah. Because it's such a nuanced systematic problem when you're talking about economic uncertainty and job loss and lack of resources, lack of services, and so it's just, that's part of my job, right? Is to talk to people like this, and it's part of your job too with this podcast to get that message out. So when people are listening, think deeper than just pointing a finger at someone who is not like you and blaming them. There is so much more to consider, and when you do that, when you negatively blame someone, you are missing out on all of the nuanced reasons why problems exist. And you're now missing out on the opportunity to solve those problems because you're not even thinking about the real roots of the cause.
I understand. No, thank you so much for all this information. And I know we have not me only, but all the immigrants have the strong back of this government. Now, the craziest word in 2025 is tariff. Even my little one, who is only 4 years old, know the word called tariff. So
that's too bad.
So tariff is, I believe tariff is a terror right now because people went into the depression just because of this one word, like after March probably, because so many job loss, inflation, and of course other issues. Can you tell me any current plan of government or the future plan and strategy of federal government? If you will going to give me any deep insight onto that, trust me, all the viewers will have the long breath.
Yeah, this is, like I mentioned, complex problems, right? So it's complex, but it's simple as well, because what happened was we became far too reliant on the United States. And he doesn't want to be reliable. He likes it that way, I'm convinced. So what we do, and what the Prime Minister has said repeatedly, is we control what we can control. And that's why you're seeing Prime Minister Carney going to other trade partners or potential trade partners and working out deals with people who want to work with us, not with the United States right now, who's decided they're just going to, dig their heels in and be isolated and call all the shots. There's no relationship there. It's them making demands. Other countries who find themselves in similar positions because maybe they relied too much on the United States. And there is going to be pain. Absolutely. Our prime minister has not sugarcoated it. He has set us up for reality. And he has said, through no fault of our own, aside from maybe being too trusting and being too friendly, we are now going to face some hard times. There is going to be job loss. There is going to be austerity. We have a budget coming out in a couple of weeks, and the prime minister has said it is going to be a challenging budget. It is going to be an austerity budget, but thankfully also an investment budget. Right? Because you've heard the old saying, you need to spend money to make money. You need to invest to keep the economy going. You need to support workers who are facing job loss and industries that are so pivotal to the Canadian economy that are currently facing such crisis. They need to be supported through this time, because we don't want to come back, a couple years from now and be, oh my gosh, we didn't support where we should have, and now it's a catastrophe. So it's important that people understand, no one is trying to pull the wool over their eyes.
We need to swallow some bitter pills to recover our economy. That's okay. And I love one, I still remember one meeting of Mark Carney with Donald Trump. And in the White House, Mark Carney told to Donald Trump, Mr. Trump, some things are not for sale in entire life. He quoted for Canada. And it touches my heart. And that is so beautiful. That is so nice. On that platform, it requires guts. I say he's a calm person, but he's a very smart. And I love it. I meet so many people. I'm also a public profile. So I meet so many people on a daily basis. So some economists, they always have one thing. I'm talking about before election. So before Mark Carney got elected, everybody was of one opinion. Canada is the richest country in entire world as far as all natural resources is concerned. The only point is how we gonna utilize this. We require one leader. Now that is before Mark Carney got elected. I'm sure now Mark Carney is there. Liberal government will going to do this thing. They will going to execute all this thing, and Canada will be number one.
I agree. And I don't think we have a choice, to be perfectly honest. I think we need to maximize harvesting these natural resources that we have. Now, the Liberal government is the government of respecting justice for the environment as well, right? And for Indigenous peoples. So it's not like we can go in and start ripping up the earth just to get wealthy. There are definitely other considerations that are very important to us and that voters expect from us. So when you hear the Prime Minister talking about the nation building projects, or you hear Minister Hodgson, the Energy Minister, talking about different projects that we're looking at, these will always be looked at from a lens of how we minimize impacts to the environment and respect ecological justice and sustainability and our Indigenous peoples. That's in the Constitution. We can't just not do it. Like it is the right thing to do, and it's legally required. So there's a balance here, and there's a discussion certainly to have with our Indigenous partners as well, because there's a lot of opportunity for them that they want to be part of as well, because they want sovereignty within their own people too. So there's a way to do this where we are maximizing the benefit for everyone involved, and we're minimizing impacts to our environment. And the legacy I want to leave to my children is not one of environmental degradation. That's important to me. So yeah, natural resources are definitely something that are part of this plan. And you're right. We have lots of them. There's lots of space for new sectors, for the green economy, for business models that harness environmental justice and sustainability. And I think that's the way of the future anyways.
Okay, perfect. Now let's move to the very interesting part, which is safety and crime. There are so many car thefts going on. What's government's plan right now to address that? Number one. Number two, don't you think, Kristina, like federal government and provincial government should align more to address this particular issue? Because car theft is so common, okay? When you are in GTA, out of 10, at least 6 people are talking about car thefts. So if I can throw some light on that, and I want to understand, like, federal government and provincial government, they will going to align on this particular issue, or is there already, the plan is going on?
Yeah. Auto thefts have been like at pandemic levels, it's been really bad. And when I was, again, before I was elected, I attended a town hall that one of my council colleagues put on. He was a police officer, and he put on a town hall, and he brought in some police officers to talk about, not just car thefts, but also, home break-ins and that sort of thing. So there's the preventative piece where the police say, make sure things are well lit, and you try to discourage car thefts. I know my colleague, MP Adam Van Couverden, who is over in Milton West, had a kind of a consortium in Ottawa before I was elected, had a consortium in Ottawa where he brought together law enforcement officials with MPs and with different ministries to talk about how they could address car thefts. So there is a strategy in place. The issue we're having is that it's organized crime, right? So we have organized crime that is stepping in and recruiting young people, 16-year-old boys, to steal cars. So the organized crime is sophisticated, and law enforcement is always trying to stay one step ahead, and it's difficult, right? There's issues with borders, which is why our government has committed to hiring 1,000 new Canada Border Services agents so that there'll be more monitoring going on at border crossings, because these vehicles are being brought into, border crossings, put into shipping containers, and then they're off across the ocean. So we have to catch that at the point of exit, and that requires more resources, more officers to keep an eye on. So 1,000 more Canada Border Services agents to do that, 1,000 more RCMP officers as well to help with law enforcement, because the police, they're doing so much with so little resources. Like, they're spread very thin. And I know this from my time as a municipal councillor. The new bail reform legislation that we're going to be bringing in a couple of weeks from the Minister of Justice also addresses additional provisions geared at car thefts and organized crime. So there's going to be some stricter legislation that gives law enforcement, judges, courts more abilities and more tools to make sure that the law is, more aggressive towards organized crime and car thefts. So that's also part of the plan. There's responsibilities at all levels. We owe each other responsibility. We have obligations to each other as federal and provincial and municipal partners. So I'm a big believer in collaboration between those jurisdictions. And I'm very happy to say I feel I have a really good relationship with our provincial and municipal colleagues.
So yeah, just like every party need to forget their individual interest of the party. And if they understand, like, this is actually the burning issue for all the citizens, then I think so we'll have a better result. But yeah, thanks for that insight. Now, connected question. Some people feel that justice system in Canada is too soft. Offenders are often not getting the right punishment, and sometimes they are not even getting the punishment. Do you think the justice system should be modified or should be more stronger?
Yes, so the justice system is something that can adapt, right? Our laws are meant to adapt and, again, react and address different realities as they change over time, as there's different trends. In speaking to law enforcement and to police, which I do a lot, there is a change in the trends of crime happening. Now, I will preface this by saying, in Halton region, which the riding I represent, it's the safest region in the country. According to the Canada Crime Index and our own police chief, very, very safe. But that doesn't mean we don't want to keep it safe. We want to keep it the safest, and we want to address the trends that seem to be increasing. So yeah, there's a role for the justice system to play. Now, it may have been changed a couple of years ago to be a little more relaxed. Now we see a rise in crime. We have to react, right? So I absolutely feel the justice system has a role to play. It's kind of where everything starts, right? And we have the ability as legislators to say, okay, there's an issue here that we have to react to, and we have to make sure the legislation gives law enforcement the tools to solve the problems they're seeing, the changing issues that they're seeing in their communities. So yes, and you will see that coming in a few weeks with the new bail reform legislation.
Because, I'm more concerned about the future of the kids, because I really don't want the gun culture right now, which is prevailing in United States, never should come in Canada. Because last month I have seen, like that typical gun violence in Vaughan, in Brampton as well. I really don't want, like, our kids will going to see the gun culture in the coming days. If Kristina, if you will going to tell me, like, right now, are there strict laws concerned with the gun and kind of supplement of guns?
Yes. Definitely Canadians, or the majority that I have spoken to, want reasonable gun control legislation. They do not want American style gun laws here. I mean, there aren't really any laws in America regarding guns. It's kind of a free for all, and you see what's happening there, and it's part of the culture, which is unfortunate there. That being said, when I talk to law enforcement, again, going back to my discussions with police chiefs, the vast majority of crimes that happen with a firearm involved, the firearm is illegal. Okay. It's either been smuggled from the United States or it's not registered. The commission of these crimes is not being done by legal firearms. The legal firearms owners are not the issue, but it's kind of a numbers game, because the more firearms you have in a place, the more likely they're going to get into the wrong hands. So when I talk to Canadians, they want reasonable gun legislation. We want to make sure that illegal guns are kept out of our country. And that is another reason why our government said we need more law enforcement at the border, right? So that, again, that 1,000 CBSA officers that are going to be watching our borders, things coming and going, the same ones who are going to be watching for stolen autos are also going to be watching for illegal guns coming over the border. And the RCMP officers as well, who have the jurisdiction of, federal firearms offenses and that sort of thing. So they can keep an eye on those illegally smuggled firearms. And that's really, I think, where you're going to see the most impact as far as crimes that are commissioned with a firearm.
That's great. Transit. Most of the reels on Instagram right nowadays, when people are on 401, they are actually making the reels, man, I'm on 401. This is the biggest headache. So my funniest question to you, what's the plan of government now to expand the infrastructure, especially, to address the transit facility?
So when we talk about transit, I'll use an example in Milton. We've been talking for many, many years about getting two-way all-day GO train service to Toronto, because right now it runs during rush hour Monday to Friday. So if you want to get down into Toronto on a weekend, because there's an event going down on downtown, you have to drive to Oakville, get on the train, and then take it in. So it's inconvenient. So there's been discussions between Metrolinx, the province, the federal government, and then local governments about how we make this work. And because it's a complex project, all of us have to be at the table and we all have to contribute. So this is part of the discussion I just had again with the MPP. We talked about GO. So it's got to be a solutions-based discussion. So we know what the problem is. How are we solving it? And what is the role that the federal government will play? Usually it's financial. We'll come forward with money. The provincial government will come forward with money, and we'll all work together to make sure the funding is there to get the project on its way. So local transit, more the responsibility of municipalities. And then with the GO train, for example, there's all three levels of government going to be involved with that. So we want people to get out of their cars, right? Because it's good for the environment and it's easier on our roadways.
Yes.
Because if my colleague Adam again says, if you're in traffic, you are traffic. You're part of the problem. So we want to make it easier for people to use transit. It's safer. You can answer emails or have a nap when you're doing it. You can't do that when you're driving.
Now, I'm a real estate agent by profession, meeting so many people. Now, I have seen all ups and downs in real estate. From seller's market to buyer's market, seller's buyer market, buyer seller's market, investors market. I know government is working on the plan called Let's Build Canada Strong. If you can address this issue, first of all, real estate one, and then after, if you will going to tell me more about Canada, Let's Build Canada Strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a lawyer, so a big part of my practice is real estate law. So I am very sensitive as well to fluctuations in the market. We can see it when we see our files coming through, they slow down, they speed up, and we can use that kind of as a barometer for what's happening economically, because when people are uncertain about the economy, they're not going to go spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on, real estate purchases unless they really have to. So yes, there is a housing problem. Of course, you've heard, everybody knows this. It's no secret. And we need to get homes built. And again, across many levels of government, it's a joint venture that we have to undertake together. So the news you've heard about Build Canada Homes, which is the new entity, which is going to be the government's contribution to making sure that we can get more homes built. So a $13 billion investment. The first list of homes, the first tranche of homes is 4,000, and there will be many, many more. There's a lot of misinformation right now. People are saying, wow, only 4,000 homes for 13 billion. No, that's just the first block. So there'll be many more coming. And this will be a partnership with private construction, private sector to get lots of homes built, hundreds of thousands of homes built, deeply affordable housing, because right now it's challenging to afford a home. I have 4 young adult children. None of them even have the prospect of owning a home anytime soon because they cannot afford it. So I'm living this reality myself. So the government solution is to get the government back in the business of home construction with the private sector. And it will take some time to get that going, but there are some quick results we can get. There'll be modular housing as well. That's quicker to actualize. So it's going to take some time to really see the impacts, but we will get some quick relief very soon. There's some projects in my riding that I would like to see get going as far as affordable housing as well, seniors housing, supportive housing, transitional housing. It's an issue that touches the lives of just about everyone I talk to.
So can you throw some light on that? Say, for example, when you talk about affordable housing, if someone wants to be eligible for that particular scheme or that program, okay, what they need to do? Or is there any particular link or is there any particular information they can Google or they can search, they can avail about it in the future?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, people can certainly go and check out the Build Canada Homes program. That's very high level right now. So I don't know if it would really help the individual who's looking for a place. Regional governments are responsible for affordable housing as well and supportive housing. So you can check out your regions, whether it's Peel region or Halton region, you can check out what they have available.
But it's still surprising for me. Let me give you example. 2021, when buyer will going to approach me, they always find there is no home, because when the home will list, say for example on Saturday night, it got sold. Right now, there are multiple homes available, multiple pre-con projects, they got unsold. So right now, actually there are homes, but people are right now either scared or unsecured, or probably they have the fear in their mind whether they can afford the mortgage payment or not. So I don't know, I think if government will going to educate people how to plan this particular thing when they will going to buy a house, because the problem is half knowledge or less knowledge. People don't know. I meet some of my clients in last couple of years. When I'm going to educate them, they understand, oh, to buy the house in Canada is so easy. The system is so clear, so smooth. The problem is communication. Lack of communication, lack of knowledge. If government will going to open some platform to educate people, this is the simple process, how you will going to buy the house, this is the affordability and so on, I think so will be probably better. I'm just telling you on the open platform, so government will going to get this suggestion and probably apply that.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. And I think government does play a role in making sure people know how to access these programs. I know at Milton Town Hall, they have a little flyer where it says buying a new home. And here's the things to think about. Of course, people will always rely on the professionals in their lives, like the real estate agents, like their real estate lawyers or their mortgage brokers, to educate them as well. So that's really important. We want to be careful that people buy homes they can afford. And you mentioned the supply. You're right. We look at the condo supply right now, they're just not moving. And is it a combination of people being scared to spend money or scared to invest? Are they waiting for interest rates to come further down? Are the homes just still too expensive? Yeah. Right. And then you get into a discussion about the cost of construction. And I was speaking to a developer the other day who said, look, if you want to build more homes, you want us to build more homes, we can't sell them for what you need us to sell them for because it costs us too much to build them because of the red tape, the bureaucracy, the development charges, and that sort of thing. So, and then when you talk about development charges, municipalities really rely on those for their revenue. So if you pull that back, how do you make the municipality whole? Because now they're losing a big source of their revenue to pave their roads and provide transit. So
you can't make everyone happy.
But you can see how it's all connected,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, and when you talk about collaboration and alignment between different levels of government, that is pivotal.
Yes.
Because again, people rely on all levels every day and they don't care who's providing what. They just want it done and they want it done effectively. And they want to see their tax dollars used valuably and respectfully. And they want to see impact for the money they're paying to their government in taxes. So that's something a message out there to all politicians to remember, again, whatever other, projects or goals you might have in your career, like we're also the guardians of taxpayer dollars. And that's really important to remember. We all pay taxes. I pay taxes too. I don't want to see things squandered. I want to see results.
Thank you, Kristina. Now you serve on the Public Accounting Committee right now. Some people argue that politicians are always doing the arguments in the parliament. They are not addressing the real issues, not going for the solutions. What's your take on that?
Yes. And when I ran in the election, I thought, I can argue. I'm a lawyer. I can argue. I can hold my own, but I only do that when I absolutely have to. For the most part, you want to be collaborative. Most people, when they tune into question period at the House of Commons, it's entertaining, right? There's yelling. There's people, very theatrical. But other people say, is this how my tax money is being spent? Really? Like it's a kindergarten classroom sometimes. So that's embarrassing, I think. And sometimes we have people in the gallery watching us and the stuff going back and forth, you just shake your head a little bit and think, what work is actually getting done here? The purpose of question period is for the opposition party or the opposition to hold the government to account and ask us questions about how we're spending money. And that's important. The government should be held to account and we're there to answer the questions. But we want to see collaboration. Like if we bring forward really reasonable crime legislation that will address the concerns of the community, we expect the opposition to ask questions, to hold us accountable, but ultimately we need their support. We're in a minority government. We need their support to get this work done. So I presume that there will be many pieces of legislation where the opposition will be supportive because it meets a common goal. And they already have been on a number of pieces of legislation. There will be others where they push back. And that's our job as a government to justify why the legislation we're bringing forward is beneficial to all Canadians, regardless of their party alignment. And most Canadians, again, don't care who's doing it. They just want the job done.
Yeah, just the result. Now, so many people always having the conversation, like all politicians, they can be visible during the time of election. When the election is over, they are invisible. Do you think it's a myth or the truth?
No, definitely. I think there are some politicians who just get out there at election time, and whether it's because they're very busy doing other things or they just don't want to be out there unless it's an election. I think of some of my colleagues who have very busy ministries, right? Who are out doing events in other parts of the country or who are out of the country doing international work that's a pivotal part of their ministry. They can't always be in their riding, so you're not going to see them as often. Right now, I don't have a ministry. I'm a backbencher MP, so I can spend a lot of time in my riding, which is very important to me. But I think of a time that if I was given a ministry, how would I manage that? Because people want to see me at home, supporting them and doing the work at home. But there's a whole other list of work that needs to be done in order to do the job for the country in a ministry position, for example. So I think it's really important that regardless of whether you're at home, you're abroad, or you're in other parts of the country, that you're remaining engaged through your office. So you have staff who are responding to emails and addressing concerns. We're all reachable through email and social media now, right? And social media really is so important for how people get to know their politicians. So it's important to maintain a presence there. And there's only so much time in a day, but maximizing that time and making it impactful is a skill. I think that's really important for any politician.
Okay. Now, if I may ask you, what Kristina think every politician should have at least these 5 characteristics, what your answer will be?
Okay, first and foremost, integrity, without a doubt. I mean, you have to have integrity to do this job. I think with integrity goes honesty. So I won't make honesty number 2. So honesty, integrity, number 1. Number 2, you have to be a helper. We talked about that already. You have to, you're a servant. You are in service to your community and your constituents and your country. Number 3, we'll get more into tactical skills. You have to have excellent time management. Okay. Number 4, you have to be, I think you have to have a baseline of intelligence. you need to be a little bit smart, and you have to be logical. Probably that's even more important. Probably logic and intelligence go hand in hand. And number 5, and this isn't necessarily the 5th, but it's important. You have to be compassionate and empathetic. You have to be able to understand what other people are going through who are not in the same life that you are. You have to be able to think about what it's like going through life in their shoes, because otherwise the issues that they bring to you won't be important to you because they don't affect you necessarily, but they're affecting someone in your community. And you have to think about what it's like for them and the impact they're feeling in their family in order to be effective in bringing that voice forward. And really, that's what we do as elected representatives. We are the voice for the people who have chosen us to go and speak for them. So it's important that we always remember we're here for others. We're not here for ourselves.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
How all MPs train themselves to avoid such unnecessary noise?
Oh, it's a good question. I wouldn't say there's any formal training, right? I mean, you just kind of figure it out. And an important part of our role, again, is education and messaging. And I would say you touched on a very pivotal issue: misinformation, disinformation, and the role that social media plays in that. And social media is a great tool, but it's also a great weapon. And people can weaponize it. And you do see that when certain politicians might reduce a very complicated issue to a little soundbite or a little slogan. And that's dangerous because people need to have the nuance, and it's difficult. Like, it's not easy to get so much information in a very short. People are busy. They don't have time to consume long articles or news. So we have to find ways to make the information accurate, but also easily digestible and fast. And, we have communications people that help us with that. But at all times, I go back to that first quality you want in a politician, the integrity. Be careful with your words. Words matter. And trying to fool people or be borderline deceptive with the words you use may work in the short run. It may get you clicks and likes in the short term, and it might even win you an election in the short term. But in the long term, it will affect your integrity and your reputation. And at the end of the day, all of us, no matter what business we're in, our reputation is the one thing we can always manage and control. And it's really, at the end of the day, the one thing that matters.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you need to give the answer to your own soul as well, right? Now, Kristina, let me tell you one story. So last year, I went to the dentist. My kids want to just clean their teeth. So the treatment was done. And when I asked about give me the invoice, I need to give you the payment. So the dentist told me, man, it's free under the program called Happy Smiles. I was not aware, honestly. So can you tell me some programs people are not aware the government is already running, which is actually in the pure benefit of the citizens of Canada, or the permanent resident, or even the student, or who are on the work permit? Because if I don't know certain program, I'm sure there are so many right now in Canada, they don't know certain programs which is run by federal government.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm still learning about all the programs that are available. I'll talk about 2 really important ones that have impacted my community. So number 1 would be the Canada Summer Jobs Program. And we talked about small business. So this is a program that benefits small business and medium-sized businesses and students who are looking for employment. So what happens is the funding comes through an application. A business will make an application to the federal government. And if they're successful, they will get money from the federal government, money that they are to use to hire students to work through the summer. So I visited a number of places that had availed themselves of this great program. One comes to mind, a local greenhouse where they grow, trees and things. And this greenhouse had hired a number of students through the Canada Summer Jobs Program who then had found full-time employment because they came back and the greenhouse said, you were great as a summer student. We are now going to hire you. And now they're learning skills and they're learning small business and they're learning customer interaction. And these are skills that they can take on with them into the world. And the small business is getting the benefit of some financial support to get more workers in. So that's one. Another one would be the New Horizons for Seniors program. So we talk about seniors as well. Mm-hmm. My parents are seniors, and this is a program that allows funding to different community organizations that are designing programs that are specifically beneficial to seniors, programs that address isolation for seniors.
So is there anything like people can Google and take more insight of that, more information about it? Is there any link or any website if you aware about it?
Yes, when I'm looking for, I'm the MP and I'll just Google it, Canada, federal program funding for, whatever you're looking for. But again, if you have questions, I can do that work of finding that out because there is so much. So if people have questions, they can ask their MP. Also, local governments, municipal governments will have that information too. So if people go to the town hall and say, I'm trying to start a kids program or an arts program, municipal governments will say, well, there's a federal program you can apply to, call your MP. Oh, there's also a local program as well. So there's a lot available for community building work like that. And it's important because the federal government can give the money so communities can do the work they need to do within their own areas.
That's beautiful. So I'm going to put those things in my description so people can work around it. And also one of the best program is CDCP, okay, which is a dental care program which is run by federal government, which is beautiful. Thanks for that, Kristina. Now, since you become MP, what's your proudest moment and what's your emotional moment? Only one.
Okay, my proudest and emotional moment.
Correct.
I've I'm not one to feel a lot of, like pride. I try to be humble. But I was really proud of the actual election night when we knew we had won and we got together, my volunteers. So when I ended the call with my campaign manager after he told me I had actually finally won, that was very emotional. Like, oh, so much energy and pent up tension that I was able to just say, yes, we did it. And that was a proud moment as well. And the other moment of high emotion was the first time I walked into the House of Commons. Yeah, because I hadn't been there before. So when I finally arrived in Ottawa and I met with my liaison officer who took me through some of the training, and she said, okay, now there's a tour and we're going to show you around, where you're going to be working. And we walked into the House of Commons, and you see it on TV and you see it in photos, but to walk into the building, which is architecturally impressive, like it's a beautiful, and it's just temporary, right? We're in West Block right now, but it's beautiful and overwhelming from a perspective of architectural elegance and size. But the symbolism of this room, with the green carpet that represents, the like grass, the Commons, the House of Commons, it's the House of the people, ultimately, where every riding in Canada has gotten together and chosen one person to send forward to speak for them. Really moving.
Yeah. I'm hearing you. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing you. And I can feel the common citizens can visit that particular place.
Yeah. When the House is sitting, there are some rules. So when the House is sitting, like only elected people can actually go onto the carpet and pages and elected people and the Sergeant at Arms staff. But yes, people can go to the House of Commons website and there's a button they can click to arrange their visit. They give their names ahead of time and then there's some security clearance they go through. And it doesn't have to be too far in advance. People show up on the day. They just happen to have some extra time. They go through the security clearance, and if there's space, they come in. And it's really great to look up and see people in the galleries, and you will see interesting people up there. We had David Suzuki there back in June. We had Joe Clark, who was a former prime minister, there a few weeks ago. We had the Prime Minister of Ireland sitting up there last week. So all kinds of wonderful, esteemed guests who will come and watch the conduct of the House of Commons. So it's really impressive.
So if people want to communicate with Kristina for any issue like immigration or job or any other social issue, how people can connect with Kristina, like whether they are from Halton region, means your riding, or any other riding?
Yeah, absolutely. Email is always the best because then we have a written record and we can go back and forth. People can call as well. My phone number is published on the internet, so they can call the office. But we help each other out as well as MPs. And, it's about collaboration and making sure that ultimately at the end of the day, the person who needs help gets the help and the answers they're looking for.
So I will going to put your email in the description so people can reach out to you. I mean, the Halton region people, your riding Milton East specifically.
Absolutely. And we get people from other ridings contacting us and we're able to direct them where they need to go and provide guidance too.
Is there any particular day or like in a month, you are also open for the in-person meeting in your office?
Absolutely. Yes. When I'm in the riding, every day I take meetings with constituents. Every day.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful then.
Yeah. When I'm here and during the weeks when we're here, the whole week, every day we'll be meeting with constituents. Yeah.
Then politicians are also visible after election as well. Kristina is a live example. Take a note. Now, Kristina, thank you so much. These are some amazing questions and more amazing answers. Now let's move to the fun part.
Sure.
Let's play the rapid fire. It's just a fun part.
Yes.
Okay. But I want you to be absolutely natural. So whatever the immediate answer will going to come in your mind, please speak out.
Okay.
Let's start.
You sure?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. I'm game.
Okay, let's start. If you could have a dinner with one of the world leader, past or present, who would you choose and why?
I would choose Napoleon Bonaparte, who was the Emperor of France, because, not the greatest guy. He caused a lot of wars and destruction. But I think his background, the story of how he was born on the island of Corsica, he wasn't really ethnically French and didn't actually speak French. But then we went to military college and he was kind of ostracized, and how he rose up through that to become basically a dictator, which is not great, but but I'm intrigued by the storyline, and I would be really interested to ask him how he navigated that, and also how his life ended. He was exiled to an island and was probably pretty lonely, and I would like to know kind of how he felt when he was reflecting on his life.
Okay. If Kristina will going to start her own podcast, who will be the first guest and why?
Oh, Prime Minister Mark Carney. Well, I would want him to be the first guest. I don't know if he would be. But yeah, I would definitely want to get him down in a seat and just, at the same types of questions, tell us about your story. And he's much more accessible, obviously, than Napoleon Bonaparte. But it would be great to kind of have that one-on-one and be able to kind of ask whatever questions I wanted and see and put him on rapid fire.
Absolutely.
He would do amazing anyway.
Okay. What is one Canadian food you can never say no to?
Canadian food, maple syrup. I can't believe it took me that long to think about it. I will actually, I'll tell you my secret. I will actually eat maple syrup by the spoonful with nothing else. So
Really?
I don't even need pancakes. No, once in a while, I'll just get a craving and I need a quick hit of sugar or calories, and I will take a spoonful of real maple syrup. Yes.
So it's energy booster for you.
Yes.
So you're truly not then.
Yeah, then you're going to have to go for a jog and run it off. Yeah.
Who is more powerful, Kristina? Politician or businessman in Canada?
Oh, I guess sorry, you're going to get a political answer here. I think it's how you define power, right? Is it influence? Is it the ability to get what you want? Is it the ability to affect change? So I would say if it's the ability to affect change, you're looking at politicians. Like, we're really given a platform and a mandate to make real change. If you're talking about exerting influence, power through maybe money and that sort of thing, maybe it's business. But there's no reason why politicians and business people can't work together to affect change for the greater good.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's diplomatic answer, but that's okay. Your favorite day out, Ottawa or Milton?
Oh, well, and you forgot Georgetown, right?
Okay, let's put it in this way. Your favorite day out, Ottawa, Milton and Georgetown together.
Milton and Georgetown together. Ottawa is a spectacular city, and I love my time there. It's beautiful, and what it represents as the seat of government for this great country will always move me. I love being there, and I never feel bad when I have to get on a plane or get in on the train to go to Ottawa. But Milton and Georgetown that's who I am, right? That I've spent my entire life between those two communities. Those are the people I represent. That's where home is.
Yeah, that's your heart is as well. Your favorite book means all-time favorite book.
Yep.
And all-time favorite movie.
Okay, all-time favorite book is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo.
What it's all about?
This is about the years following the French Revolution. So when we talked about kind of what got me interested in politics, I neglected to mention this book. And that's where I really became fascinated about how people challenge governments, not even governments, challenge monarchies and that sort of thing, and challenge the structures that oppress them, right? And how they fight back and how they take power into their own hands. It's a story about revolution.
Now, this is very interesting. So, Kristina, if you will wake up in the morning as one of the following celebrities, what will you do?
Okay.
Number 1, Justin Bieber.
What would I do? I think he has a new baby, so I'd probably go spend time with my new baby.
What about Chris Derksen?
My husband?
Yes.
I would wake up and immediately thank my lucky stars for my wonderful wife, who is so fabulous and who I'm so lucky to have.
Listen, Chris, you need to watch this episode, man. So, Kristina, as I'm a real estate agent, I always ask this question to all my guests. According to you, top 3 countries in the world to invest right now?
To invest?
Yes.
There is only one country. There's only one country, Sunny, and it's Canada. Canada, Canada, Canada.
Thank you. Final question. Finish this sentence.
Okay.
Canada in 2030 will be
The best in the world. Full stop.
Thank you so much, Kristina.
You're very welcome.
Trust me, Kristina, Canada really needs more leaders like you because you really show how women can balance her personal life, professional life. A woman can be a good mother, beautiful human being, a top leader, nice member of parliament, and you are truly inspiration for so many people. Thanks for all this inspiration and thanks for all this wonderful conversation about your journey.
That's very, very kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kristina. And once again, a very happy Diwali and prosperous New Year to you and your family.
Happy Diwali. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's say with me in Hindi.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. आप सबको दिवाली की हार्दिक शुभ कामनाएं खुश रहो. Before we sign off, we would like to thank our sponsor Manisha Savnani, mortgage specialist at RBC, for supporting conversations like this and guiding families with expert mortgage advice. Check the description for her contact details and contact her for blanket approval, firm approval, alternative lending, builder approval, or pre-construction closing. Once again, it's been an honor to have the first woman and the first political guest on this show, Kristina Tesser Derksen. Thank you all for watching and wishing you and your family a very happy Diwali. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to my channel for more real conversations like this one. And please drop a comment and let me know, who would you like to see as my next guest? Till then, take care and enjoy. This is Realtor Sunny signing off.